Today I have the absolute pleasure of spending some time with Bill Oberst Jr., who is one of the stars of the upcoming horror film, The Parish. In this film, he plays an interesting character named Father Felix. Can you tell us a little bit first about the film, The Parish?
Yeah, thanks, Emmanuel. Thanks for having me. It's the producers describe it as a slow burn exorcism film. It's really a film about grief and the various ways that grief can manifest itself, including in this case, grief actually can become a horrible presence that haunts this family, and the priest tries to help. So I think we shot it way before pandemic, but it's very timely that it's coming out now because grief and loss is a theme I think a lot of people can identify with. So it fits into the horror thriller genre, but it's not only fans of horror and thriller who would resonate with it.
I completely agree with you. I got the sense of that because of Liz, Angela DiMarco's character. She's constantly having night terrors. Her daughter's aware of it. And I think it's really relatable. And I think that having a situation like hers where she lost her husband can sometimes lead to either real or sometimes something that's come up in her head because of lack of sleep and things.
It's true because so a lot of times we see the devil where we want to see the devil and where we need to see the devil in our lives. You know, sometimes things are so bad that they can just coalesce into this shape. And if you want to call it the devil, and if a exorcism helps, great. For some other people, they might be able to do yoga.
Very true. And in other cases, unfortunately, you get sucked into a murder from so many years ago, like in this case. Can you tell us a little bit now about your character, Father Felix?
Yeah, Father Felix is a good priest. I've wanted to play a priest for a long time in an exorcism film. In fact, I prayed about this a few years ago, and I was like, God, please give me the opportunity to play a priest in an exorcism film. So shortly after that, I got cast in a movie called Hell's Kitty, where I exorcised a demon-possessed cat.
Oh, wow.
With Doug Jones. And so I thought, okay, so God has a sense of humor. But then this movie came along, and so I've met many hundreds of ministers of all types of faiths because I performed in churches theatrically for years. So I always said, if I'm going to play a person of faith, I want to give it that mix of weariness and hope. The hope, obviously, because they have some faith, but the weariness is because everybody wants certainty from a minister, and they don't have that any more than you or I do. They don't really know. They just can point you towards more secure ways to not know. And for most people, that's not enough. And they're like, I want to know. And the priest doesn't have that to offer you. So I wanted my Father Felix to be a person who has his own demons to fight. He's very human, but he also has a core faith that good can overcome evil.
I think either way, that would make for a better minister because you have empathy. You're able to relate to some of the feelings that, the people you're helping are going through. And so I applaud that from you to want to do that version of a minister instead of one that's 100% all holy and nothing supposedly in the closet or in the background.
Oh, those are the worst. Those, if anybody's ever like totally holy, or if they're unsure, if they don't doubt their own certainty, I run from them, man. I'm scared of those people. I want vulnerability and fallibility.
Yeah, absolutely. Want to relate to one another because I think that's where we're going to feel the safest because someone can relate to us. So, and I think that's where your character and Liz were able to have a little bit of chemistry because you're able to relate to what she's going through based on your past. Can you talk a little bit about the experience then of finally being able to perform an exorcism on a feature film?
Yeah, it was great, and I hope it's not the last either. We were able to work in some Latin, which is really important to me. And we worked in not the high ecclesiastical Latin from the exorcism rite, but we worked in the working people's exorcism poem or formula. It was called the Vade Retro Satana, Get Back Satan. And it dates from medieval times. And it was intended for the average person, the lay person, you or me, to be able to say, you know, get behind me, Satan. You're not going to have my day. And so the translation into English is beautiful. It's, get back, Satan. What you offer me is evil. You drink the poison yourself. And I love that. It's like shoving it back in the face. So I wanted Father Felix, rather than being very high church, to be sort of a rough working man's way to shove back the devil. So that's what we're screaming back and forth during the climactic scene.
That you said it very beautifully. I like it. The lion is kind of creepy, but kind of cool at the same time. And so I think what I really appreciated most about your character is at first, I was a little uncertain about it because you were a little bit uncertain about a lot of the characters as you're getting to know them. I was like, wait a minute, is he, which side is he on? But as we got to know him, we see like, oh no, it's because he also has a past. He has caution. And I think that was done very well. Which leads me to that question. Can you talk a little bit about working with the director, David S.Hogan, and maybe, because you're very well versed in the horror genre, so maybe did you kind of give him some pointers as well, or it was back and forth? How did that go?
Oh no, I don't know what the hell I'm doing, Emmanuel. I never do. In fact, the only thing I know how to do well is listen. That's my only talent. I can stare without blinking and I can listen. So I've learned to listen to directors because my first instinct is always wrong.
Oh, no.
So many times I'm like, I want to try something. And then I do the take and the director says, thank you for making such a bold choice. I never want to see it again. So I listen and absorb because David's an acting coach as well. He and Angela are coaches in Seattle, well respected. And I learned a lot from him. He's an actor's director.
Can you maybe share a couple of things that you learned from him?
Stillness. I relearned this over and over again, and then I forget it. I had one terrific director named Chris Eska in a film called The Retrieval who pulled me to the side and he said, Bill, I said, yes, Chris. He said, what do I have to hit you with to get you to be still in my frame? And I was like, nothing, Chris, I'll be still. So David was the same way, just settling in the frame and doing nothing but living the truth and letting the camera see it with the eyes. Like De Niro said all the time in these interviews, people ask me, what do you have to do to be an actor? The answer is nothing. You just have to tell the truth. And David loves stillness. And we had a lot of frames where he just let Father Felix settle in with Liz and kept the same frame. And it's a beautiful thing to realize that you don't have to always be doing this, which is my inclination.
So how was that to see that on screen translate afterwards?
Well, I hate watching myself on screen, but I can watch with like one eye covered up to see if it's really horrible. And I watched that and my verdict was, it's not really horrible.
You know what? I can completely relate. I hate to go back when I have to edit these and watch myself talk. I said, "Oh no, that's what I sound like. Oh, horrible." Can you comment a little bit on working with Angela and Sanae? I think that's how you pronounce her name. What was it like working with them? What was the feel of the shoot?
Strong women who know what they're doing. I love strong women characters. I love strong women in this industry. They bring an energy that you just don't get in a completely male-dominated industry. And I was so glad to be able to work with these two. They work well together. They both work well with me. So I just kind of fell back. When I had a scene with either one of them, I just gave the scene to them. Giving the scene to a strong woman is always a good choice. It's like being on the red carpet. They don't want to look at you. Like, dude, it's not about you. Just make them look good and the scene will work. Yeah, both pros. And we work long hours because it's an indie shoot. So, 15, 16-hour days. Just kept going. Very inspiring. I love working with both of them.
Now, speaking about working, you work very hard. What I want to know is how do you keep that work ethic up? You always seem to have quite a few different films that maybe you're rumored on, that you're going to work on, that you already have worked on. How do you keep that work ethic up?
It's I think it's a disease my father gave to me. Um, we're from German stock, and my father taught me that if you are a man, you work. And that's a large part of your worth, of who you are as a man. I know that's sort of an outdated idea today, just the idea of being a man and what a man is, but that's what's in me. And so I have to work. I don't feel of value if I'm not working. And so that's really why I do it. It's not like, hey, I want to be in another movie. It's like, well, shit, I only know how to do one thing. And I'm not a man if I don't work. And I need to keep working. So if I lost my legs, I'd find a way to work. If I went blind, I'd find a way to work. I've always got to be creating. It's all I know how to do. And I work sort of to know that I exist.
Bill, you've worked on so many films. I wanted your opinion. What makes a good horror film?
Um, Equal good and evil, battling it out. And at the end, you don't know who won. Not many people are able to do that. The Exorcist did it, of course. When you only have evil, it's not satisfying. And then people just start looking at the special effects or how much gore there is, and they're like, oh, hey, cool, that guy gouged his eye out. But it just becomes popcorn munching. But I think that intrinsically as human beings, we know that battles, conflict is the heart of life and the heart of the universe, the pushing, the pulling, the smashing of atoms, the smashing inside us. So a good horror film has to have strong good and strong evil. You've got to let them fight. And then at the end, you've got to have some doubt about which one won. That's the gold standard.
I like that. That's a really, really great answer. Thank you. I appreciate it. And one more question about your roles is how do you decompress after a horror film, after shooting?
It's funny you ask that because, people say, oh, it's just a horror film or it's just an indie film. But if you do anything truthfully, it sticks with you. So it's a relationship and the characters stick with you. And some characters that I played have stuck with me in a bad way for a really long time. But Father Felix has stuck with me in a good way. I'm usually itching to say goodbye to the characters I've played because I've embraced them, but I don't want that darkness in me all the time. But Father Felix is a wounded warrior who knows darkness, but who believes that good is stronger. And yeah, I want that energy in me. So I was really happy to see this movie was coming out because that's who I am. I know that there's evil, but I believe good's stronger. And I fight my own demons to be on the right side. So yeah, I don't really want to decompress from Father Felix. If I play a necrophiliac clown, I want to decompress. But with Father Felix, I'm okay with him hanging around for a long time.
Great. And one final question. What do you hope people take away from the parish?
I hope they take away the universality of grief. That when you grieve, you are not alone. You are not alone. Everybody hurts, but we're afraid to show it to one another. And then secondly, when somebody has lost someone or even a pet or anything in their life that means something, sit with them. Don't just say, oh, I'm so sorry, and then say, are you better now? So I can hang around you. Just sit with them in their grief, because that's what Liz didn't have in the movie, right? Mm-hmm. She didn't have anybody. She had friends trying to make her feel good, and let's go get pedicures. It doesn't help. You need someone to sit with you in that grief. So I hope people will see Liz grieve and realize, everybody grieves, and it's okay to just sit with somebody who's grieving. And then maybe you won't need a priest to do an exorcism.
That's very true. Bill, thank you so much for spending some time with me this afternoon. I really appreciate it. And the Parish comes out March 16th from Uncork'd Entertainment. Have a good one.
Thank you, Emmanuel.